Welcome or welcome back to Crafts by KMW. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will enjoy this coloring book flip through. This is a flip through of one of my favorite series of coloring books, The Beauty of Horror by Ellen Robert. And this is the 6th book, which was just released, called Famous Monster Pieces. This is a really great book, even if you don't like horror. I am not a horror fan. I do not like horror movies. I do not like Halloween. I don't like monsters. I don't like being scared. But this is a different breed of horror book. It is horror, but it's done in a way that is fun and cheeky and whimsical and interesting and just plain cool. So even if you're not into horror, stick with me and check out the book and see what you think of it. I have 4 other books of his. I have books 1, 2, 3, and 5. And I believe I have featured them in some other videos. So if you'd like, you can check those out. I don't think I've done a walkthrough of any of those or flip through of any of those books. This will be the first flip through, but you can get a real general sense of Alan's style from watching this flip through. So this book is about 10 1/4 by 10 1/4 square. I really like the square format books. This book was $13.58 on sale on Amazon. I believe it was 20% off. So the original price was $16.99. And it is a fantastic value. It's a thick book. You get a lot of illustrations, double-sided. It is well made. The paper is excellent. And the illustrations are just really cool and fun and detailed. So if you're looking for a little bit of a challenge or a little bit of a style change, this is one of the books to get, or any of his books are perfect for that. So the cover has a dust jacket, and the dust jacket has this red foiling on it. Hopefully you can see that. And then it's also on the back. And you just get a little blurb about the book. So as the title says, and as you can see, that Alan has horrorized lots of famous pieces of artwork, paintings, sculptures, things like that. Really fun. So the dust jacket opens up to this poster size rendition of a page that's in the book. So you can color this. I love that. There's always something to color on the inside of the book jackets. Just want to let you know that this is shiny, glossy, so you probably will be limited in what materials you could use on this. I would say probably alcohol markers would work the best. So I'm going to take this dust jacket off so as I'm flipping through, I don't ruin it. And then the cover is just black, and it has some very light pattern on it. Same thing with the back. And on the back, the pattern usually goes with the topic of the book. So here you have an artist palette and paintbrushes in a skull cup. All right, so let's get into the book. So here is the title page. And again, Alan makes something that is colorable on every page in the book, which I absolutely love. You really get the most out of your money that way. So here we have the publishing information, and then the this book belongs to Paige. And then next we have Guliana's Lost Items. So Guliana is the main character in these books. She's a little girl who came to some mayhem in the forest when she was about, I don't know, I'm not sure if he specified. I'm thinking about 10 years old. And so she is featured in all of the books. She also has a couple of friends who you will also see, as well as pets, who you will also see throughout the book and throughout all of Alan's books. So this is a hidden item book. However, I want to stress that the hidden items actually go with the pages. You're not going to see like a portrait of a beautiful woman with a pot hanging out of her ear, or a playing card, you know, on her fingernails or something like that. You're not going to see weird, strange objects that don't belong with the illustration. All of the hidden objects fit in with the page, so you don't have to worry about the images being ruined. I really don't like the regular hidden object pages where you have those odd stuff in your illustrations that just ruin it. So this is really great for me. I really like that. And then he always starts with a poem that kind of sets up the book. So Guliana and her friends have invaded a museum of all this popular artwork, and they have horrorized it, and Guliana-arized it. So, and then it asks you to help her find all of her lost items that she's lost around the museum as they are inflicting their mayhem everywhere. So I have written the artwork and the artist that each is based on. And you can find this at the back of the book. So he has a art key that allows you to know the original artwork. So I did this not only for this flip through, but for me when I go to color the artworks. If I want to look at the original and maybe use some of the same colors, I can do that, because I was familiar with a lot of these, but there's a lot that I have never seen before. So this one is based on The Scream by Edward Munch. I love how he's added Ghostface in there from the Scream franchise. And here's Guliana as the girl with a pearl earring by Vermeer. This is an homage to Jackson Pollock, so it's not really based on a particular Jackson Pollock painting, but I'm sure you could look through his and find one that's similar if you wanted to color this as a real Jackson Pollock painting. I think I remember seeing one time that had like blues and blacks and a little bit of yellow in it, and it was this kind of splotchy painting. This is from American Gothic by Grant Wood, and this is done with some features of a movie, and I'm not sure what horror movie it is. Again, I'm not a horror movie fan, but there was a movie where everybody was infected with this, I don't know, virus that was controlled by these aliens, and so you would see obey, consume, conform, and these are kind of what the aliens looked like when you had these glasses on. So that's where it comes from. And then this is Mona Lisa by Da Vinci. I like what he's done with the frame and almost made it alive, like with the tendons, and I think that's really cool. This is Paris Street Rainy Day by Gustave Caillebet. And obviously the spider is not in the original artwork. This is Marilyn Monroe, sorry, I can't talk, portrait a la Warhol. I'm not exactly sure why he put a la Warhol in here, because there are paintings that he did of Marilyn Monroe that are like this. So I'm not sure why that is, but this is one of my favorite pages. I love coloring Marilyn Monroe pages, and she's just so iconic. And Warhol's artwork is just so cool. It's so colorful and bright. So much you can do with this. So here we have Unicorn by Cavallo. This is Mater della Rosa, Sorrowful Virgin by Derek Bouts. I like the addition of the wallpaper in the background. And then we have Self-Portrait by Van Gogh. I think there's a lot you could do with this background. You could color in the circles or color over them, where some of them would still kind of shine through. There's a lot you can do with this. Here we have Lady with an Ermine by Da Vinci. And here we have an homage to, what's that movie? Oh my gosh, it's just escaped me. Silence of the Lambs. So I think that's really cool. And here we have Whistler's Mother by Whistler. And she is looking out on the Bates Motel. So maybe this is Mother. This is The Great Wave by Hokusai. And here is Guliana having a fantastic time. When I looked at this, I thought this would be really cool to do the waves in like reds and pinks and blacks for blood. I think that would look really, really neat. One of the things I love about these books, even though I'm not a horror fan, they get me out of my comfort zone. And these pages, they can be colored any way you want. You can color them really realistically. Like this page would look awesome with, you know, blue water, white foam, you know, everything colored just as it is in reality. You can change it up and do different colors. And you can also make it really bloody and gory and dark. You can really span the gamut of creative freedom. And I really like that. In the 4 other books that I have, sometimes I go very realistic. Sometimes I go more gory on the horror side. Sometimes it's a combination. Sometimes I use realistic colors. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I use Halloween colors. So it just gives you a lot of options in this kind of book, which I find just so fun and really interesting. So next we have The Card Players by Paul Cézanne. And we see some famous characters making their way in here. We have Frankenstein, the Mummy, Wolfman. We have, oh gosh, I had his name on the tip of my tongue. From the Munsters, is it Eddie? And then we have a vampire, and Guliana is in the picture frame. And then this is Winged Figure from Thayer. One of the features of his books are that he does these beautiful, intricate, but horrified frames, picture frames, or whole page frames that are really intricate and highly designed, sometimes delicate. Really like those. Now, I haven't talked much about the paper yet, so I guess I'll get into it now. The paper is a nice thick quality. You can hear it. So it is cardstock. It's relatively smooth, but not perfectly smooth. And it is white, but it's not a bright white. I would say it's more of a vintage white, although the paper in this book seems to be more white than in some of the previous books. But it's a really nice paper. It takes wet media really well. You can use paints, watercolors, wet markers on it, and the paper might buckle a little bit, but hardly at all. And when you store the book closed, flat, it will flatten that out. If you want to use alcohol markers, you definitely want to gesso first. So you can either gesso on top of the page that you're doing to protect it, and just make sure that it's not going to go through on the other side. But the book is bound with stitching. So as you can see, mine is already coming loose. And this does happen with these books. For me, it's not that big of a problem because I usually remove the pages and put them in something else, like a binder or a notebook in plastic sleeves, to not only protect them, but because this type of thing happens with the books. And the books are not really all that sturdy, at least most of them, where you can open, close, and open, close, open, close like forever. They're going to wear down. So it's not a big issue for me, but it might be for you if you like to keep your books together. You could definitely, use binder's tape or library tape or even washi tape to sort of tape these back in and keep them in place. So here we have Self-Portrait with Injured Ear and Pipe from Van Gogh, and then Vitruvian Man by Da Vinci. And then here is the picture from the dust cover. So Washington Crossing the Delaware by Leutze, not sure which. And here he's taken some horror characters and added them in. I hope I get these all right. Again, not a horror movie fan or connoisseur. So here we have the clown from It. We have Chucky. We have Leatherface. We have Pinhead. I cannot remember this guy's name, but it's from Freddy from Friday the 13th. There we go. We have Guliana, Ghostface, Michael Myers, and I forget what this guy's name is, but he is from, is it the Friday the 13th? Is Freddy from a different one? I don't know, but let me know in the comments, straighten me out. I'm not really sure. Again, not being a horror fan, I don't really know, but I think this is cool. They have all these really freaky characters in here, kind of helping cross the ocean. Here, this is Acrobats of the Cirque Fernando by Renoir. And they actually look kind of cute in a horrific way. This one I like. This is Anatomy Lesson, and this is one example of Alan's humor. So this says it's alive, and it's taken from a movie where Gene Wilder, I believe it was Frankenstein, and he created the monster. It's alive! It's alive! So I think that's really funny. And I just love that Gene Wilder's in there. This is Grand Odalisque by Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres. So this is a very beautiful, ethereal picture. And then here it's been devilified. Got a funky devil's tail and some wings going on. And you will see some of my pages starting to move and fall out. Again, that's the binding. Yellow Fool's Hat by Rudolf Hausner, and this has been glorified with some features from It. So we have some of the clown face features from It, and then the SS Georgie. This is Little Girl in a Blue Armchair by Mary Cassatt. So we have Juliana as the little girl and her very dead cat. Here we see The Drinkers by Van Gogh. I've never seen this painting before, but I am pretty sure that we do not have a dead corpse in it, and they're not vampires drinking blood. And then we have Woman Reading by Manet, and I think not to be confused with Monet. And she's reading the handbook for the recently deceased. This handbook actually appears in another one of these pictures as well. I guess if you just died, you would need that. So here we have St. Lucy by Artemisia Gerlish. I'm not sure how to say that name. I think this frame is really cool because it could be seen as either bone or as cells. So you could color it a couple different ways depending on how you view that. Here's Elizabeth Grant Kingston Beatty by Joshua Johnson. And of course, Juliana has done some mayhem here and cut her head off. So nice. This is based on Bacchus by Caravaggio. And here we have Laocoon and his sons, and I'm not going to say all those names. This is actually a sculpture, and the author is actually unknown, or the creator, not author. The creator of the sculpture is actually unknown. It is so old, and it is believed to be created during the Roman times, but the originator is just not clear. So I thought that was a really cool story. And if you take a look at the original sculpture, it is very detailed. And so this is not in the original sculpture. There are some other things that you will see. Absolutely beautiful, but appropriately covered up by Alan Robert. I like the devil depiction. I think that's pretty cool. Here we have The Death of Cleopatra by Lewis. And I like, he often does cool patterns in the background. This has a little bit of an Egyptian vibe. Here we have the Arnolfini portrait by Van Eyck. And I believe this is a xenomorph from the Alien movies, if I'm not mistaken. Here we have Juliana and Bats by Alan Robert. So here is his artwork that he has contributed to the book. And I love that you have all these frames in here. I like coloring picture frames because you can make them metal, you can make them wood, you can do lots of different varieties with them. And I really like being able to practice coloring metal and wood on those because it gives you a big enough area to do what you need to do, but not so big where it is overwhelming and makes you feel like you can't achieve the look that you want. So I like that. Here we have Boyana Ram, and I think the background is really cool. You'll see this on a couple of the other pages. If you stare at it, it becomes kind of unsettling, and I think you could do a lot with the colors with this and make it look really cool and a bit creepy if you wanted. Here's The Virgin and Child with the Young St. John the Baptist by Correggio. And then this is the Easter Island Eds of Rapa Nui. I could not find an actual artwork for this, so I'm assuming he just took the Easter Island heads and made an artwork out of it. And I love this. He shows what might be beneath the surface. I think that is so cool. Really creative. Next we have A Woman with a Rough Collar by Rembrandt. This is hysterical. If you saw Beetlejuice, I saw parts of Beetlejuice. I never saw the entire movie. I am a big fan of Michael Keaton, but the topic of the movie just really didn't interest me. But I did see the shriveled head in that scene, and it is hilarious. And here is the handbook for the recently deceased again, making another appearance. And the next one we have Wounded Angel by Hugo Simberg. I hate to think where these guys are going to be taking that poor angel. Here we have Mother and Child by George Stubbs. It's hard to tell what she thinks of this devil child. And then The Song of the Lark by Jules Breton. Or Breton, not sure. But here we have that very wavy line, kind of unsettling background again. We have a scythe in the background, and we can imagine what has happened here. No one's really singing, I think, in that picture. Next, we have The Black Hat by Lila Cabot Perry, which has kind of been turned into a wallpaper page, which I think is really neat. And then we have L'Art de Zen, Madame Joseph Michael Ganu by Van Gogh. And here she's been made to look kind of like the Bride of Frankenstein. I think is her hair like kind of whitish and black with the green streak, I believe. So that would be really cool to color that like that. Next we have Children on the Beach by Mary Cassatt. This would be a really fun one. There's so many things you can do with the beach. It could be dirt. It could be lava. It could be tar. It could be a different colored beach. It could be quicksand. There's so many different ideas that you can do with this to make it look really cool. So here we have the Zouave by Van Gogh. I'm not sure if I'm saying that word correctly. And he's been made to look like the famous serial killer who often dressed up as a clown. Very creepy. So here are two more of my favorite pages. We have Venus by Antioch and Michelangelo's David. And of course, they are censored by Guliana and her friend in the proper places. And this is kind of a funny one because of all the controversy that was going on. I can't remember what state it was in about seeing David, seeing the sculpture, and a principal was forced to resign and all of that. So I think it just makes it all the more funny. And then here we have Ophelia by Millet. This, again, would be really cool to do creative stuff with here. This could be quicksand, lava, tar, a different colored water, dirt. Could be all kinds of stuff. This could be a really creepy, dark picture, or it could be really bright and realistic, and then just maybe she is not so realistic. So many things you could do. We have Venus by Botticelli. I don't think I would be standing there if that big crab was coming after me. Very interesting. And then we have Ugolin and His Sons by Carpeau. I kind of like this one. I like the idea of him like as the devil, and his two sons are like, no, Dad, we did it. We tried to do it. We just couldn't make it happen. We were trying to do evil deeds. It just cracks me up. I like this one. So this is Artisans by Gauguin. This one I think would look really fun, colored in bright colors, sort of like Mexican folk art. I could see this going really well with that. And see here, this page has come out. So next we have Polynesian Women with Children, again by Gauguin. So we have some Halloween characters here. And then this one is Morning, Noon, and Night by Jane Stewart. I'm not sure which ones are morning, noon, and night. I think you could probably tell a little bit better from the actual artwork, but I really like this one. This is probably one of the closest ones to the original artwork in the book. They're just zombified or deadified, but otherwise it looks pretty close to the artwork. So this one is Christina's World by Wyeth. And here we have the Amityville Horror House in the background. I don't know, if I were her, I'd be crawling the other way. Here we have The Thinker by Rodin, who's been turned into a zombie, which is really cool. Next we have The Pfeiffer by Manet, and he's having a really good time trying to bring this dead guy out of his grave. We have The Milkmaid by Vermeer. This is a really creepy one. Lots of stuff going on there that make it a horror picture. And then this is just one of Alan's just regular illustrations. So kind of walking through a wall, through a corridor and seeing a wall in the museum. So here we have, there's a couple depictions of Guliana, and you see some of the other creatures from previous books and from this one. So here's It, the clown from It. This actual picture is from one of his other books. So this is just really cool. And then he usually puts at least one mandala page in his book. So here is this one. You have several artsy features in here. And then we have The Wyndham Sisters by Sargent. This also, I think, too, is a very close depiction to the original artwork. They're just dead. And I like how this is left open, so you could put in there whatever you'd like. You could draw something. Me, I will probably put a picture of my cat in there. Maybe when he's yawning or something to look a little creepy. I don't know. And this one is The Swing by Fragonard. So here Guliana's having a really great time swinging. Got some devils here around her. Here's her friend. I think that's the last one. Yeah. So here we have the cover illustration. So he always gives a page for the cover illustrations. You could color it like the cover or do your own thing. And you can also put something inside it. And then I like this edition of another picture to color. So here we have Guliana making her own artwork before she leaves the museum. And then usually in his books you get create your own pages. Normally you get 2, but he has given us 4. So 2 for paintings and 2 for sculptures. And then you have palette pages. This is where you can list your colors or color in the color palettes. You can record your colors for certain pages. I usually don't use these pages, but I know a lot of people do, and I think it's nice to have them included. And then you have the key to the lost items, the art key, and then at the back you just have all of the books that are available in the Beauty of Horror universe. So there's 6 regular coloring books, a Halloween and a Christmas special. He has a journal and then a tarot horror coloring book. So if you'd like to explore any more of those. So that is the end of the book. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please let me know in the comments if you have this book or any of the other Beauty of Horror books, what you think of them, how you color the pages, or if you would like to. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already to help me get to my goal of 1,000 subscribers. Again, thanks so much, and I hope you have a very crafty day.